Pinnacle FC time, episode 18. Happy holidays, everyone. Gareth Wheeler, Jake Osgathorpe with you as we, along with Pinnacle, take a look at the biggest and best games across European domestic football for this upcoming weekend. It's the holidays. Jake's going out to the shops. He's scrambling to get his shopping done. But good news, other than the Premier League, which is massively busy over the festive period, not a whole lot of European domestic football played through the holiday season. So how are you going to spend your time, Jake?
Doing a lot of research for the Premier League matches that are going on.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a relentless bit of the season now. We've got 4 games within 2 weeks, effectively. Then we get a bit of a respite for an FA Cup break. But yeah, it's just non-stop, back-to-back football for me. Won't be taking too much rest over the Christmas period. Maybe get Christmas Day off, Christmas Eve, Boxing Day straight back at it, and then on to the next round of fixtures.
So friends and family to the side in favor of the football.
Yeah.
Just to kind of document what we're looking at here over the next few weeks, we'll be back with regular podcasts across the holiday season, looking ahead to the Boxing Day fixtures as well as the New Year's Day fixtures. But the Premier League, 4 games between now and the weekend of January 4th. La Liga, just 1 match played on January 2nd. That's the replayed game between Valencia and Real Madrid. Nothing other than that until January 11th after this weekend. Serie A games on the weekend of the 28th, but then nothing till January 5th. Nothing in the Bundesliga to January 11th, and Liga, nothing even this week, and nothing at all until January 5th as well. We should mention, perhaps we'll do some Portuguese football. Sporting take on Benfica on December 29th, and Rangers Celtic on January 2nd as well. So plenty of football to look ahead to right here on Pinnacle FC. But before we take a step forward to this weekend, let's take a step back. How dreadful was the Manchester derby? Honestly, even as a United supporter, that was a difficult watch, Jake. United ended up winning, coming from behind to win that match. 2-1 was the final. The football was just horrendous. Like, the sheer lack of quality in the City side, it's just amazing to me. Kevin De Bruyne, is he completely finished? Is he done? Because he had about 3 set pieces in the last few minutes of the first half, and all of them went into row LMNOP. Like, wasn't even close. I'm just like, what am I watching here? And now City are down in 5th place in the table. And you just look at them now, 1 win in their last 11 games, Jake? Like, and I don't think that we're in a position we can say, oh, it's Man City, they're going to turn it around anymore. What have you seen? Where are you at with this side?
Yeah, just echo everything you've said there, really, that the Manchester derby is probably one of the lowest quality events we've seen over probably a decade now between the 2 Manchester clubs. We usually either see City play really well or we see United look real threatening on the counter-attack. But it was just a really poor game. Set-piece goal got City in front, and then just a bit of capitulation, just one error, really, from Nunez that just gifted United a goal, penalty which they scored, and then all of a sudden we just saw the same thing we've seen for a couple of weeks now, which is as soon as one goes in, they just seem completely devoid of confidence. It's just almost like the heads go down, the floodgates open. You see Pep on the sideline getting all worked up, and he looks almost scared after conceding one because he knows what's coming. So they are very fragile at the minute, and yeah, it's kind of a jokey stat, but Ruben Amorim has got more wins against Man City in the last 11 matches than Man City have managed to win games in that 11 matches, which is quite, it is a daft stat, but it just puts it again into context, the fact that they are really, really poor. And we're going to touch on the game against Aston shortly, but defensively, they've been just all over the place. And it just shows no sign of kind of stopping. They've conceded 25 goals in those 11 matches, an average of nearly 2.3 per game. They've kept 1 clean sheet. They've conceded 2 or more goals in 10 of 11. And they've conceded over 2 expected goals in 7 of those 11 games, allowing 2 expected goals per game. So they are, defensively anyway, performing like a relegation candidate, which, is... when their attack is not purring, as it hasn't been the last couple of weeks, you are going to lose a lot of football matches. And I don't want to spoil it, but I might have already done that this weekend. Just can't be back in City, and the price of that ability to get a win looks massive.
The thing is, some teams lose, and it's a little bit of a fluke. City have only won the XG battle in one game over that span. It was a 3-0 win over Nottingham Forest. That's what's incredible. They're being outplayed, outchanced in these games as well. Now, we love to keep an eye on the futures market on Pinnacle as well. City, I like this number. If you told me a month and a half ago, you got to be joking me. City at plus 1403. To go on and win the Premier League. They're 9 points back of Liverpool now. Jake, it's been the scenario over recent years. We've always been a little bit patient on City in the futures market. Say, pounce now. This is the time. Is this the time? Can you justify making a bet like that at this point?
No, absolutely not. You'd be wasting your money. They need. Well, they've got a tough festive period where you've got, obviously, as we've said, 4 games in such a short period of time. The squad is light at the moment. Defensively, they've not got a lot of bodies. The midfield looking leggy. They're not creating the chances at the same rate. They're conceding loads of chances. They're basically, like I said, performing like a bottom half team. They've got 4 games between now and the transfer window opens. They could very well spend 300 million if they wanted to in the window. I'm sure that they probably won't. They'll probably maybe get a player in to plug the Rodri gap. But by that point, they might be 15 points behind Liverpool. I think that the big difference to me is that the last few years when they've been trailing, they've still been performing at an extremely high level. The underlying data has been league leading, whereas now we're talking about a team that are effectively mid-table team, and they are 9 points behind Liverpool, having played a game more, and are a far inferior team. So I probably wouldn't. I don't know. I was going to say something drastic there. I probably won't back them at plus 5,000, but.
It seems crazy. It just sounds
crazy.
I get all the reasons.
Got such solid foundations; they're not going to fall away. You've got a Chelsea team that's scoring for fun, look very well balanced. Obviously, Liverpool doing what they're doing. So it's not only City's struggles, but also the teams above them are not going to slow down because they're performing at a level that's going to be kind of maintained.
For me, I can't bet on anyone right now. Liverpool minus 129. No, thank you. Chelsea and Arsenal, either one of those teams can catch them at the end. So a little bit of a wait and see. But that number for City, I know how they've been playing, but it caught an eye, and it's got to be a little bit tempting, considering how they've fared in over the last 5-6 years. Okay,
yeah.
So let's look ahead to this weekend. We have plenty of picks and plays to get to, and let's start right there. It's Aston Villa and Manchester City this week, and Villa at plus 229. City are favorites to win this game. City are favorites at plus 116. If you want to bet them to win this game outright, the total is set at 3 plus 101 for the over. The handicap is set at a quarter of a goal, plus a quarter of a goal, plus 0.25. If you want to back Aston Villa at plus 101. So if it's a draw, you win half your bet. City, once again, just 1 win in their last 11. Aston Villa, they've gone over in 4 of their last 5, and they only lost the XG at home versus Arsenal back in August. That's it. They've been a decent home side. Their away form is the thing that's really kind of left them where they are. Disappointing, relatively speaking, start to the Premier League season, although the Champions League's gone very well for Unai Emery's side. How do you look at this game, Jake? Do you have a pick or a play?
Yeah, it's got to be a pro-Villa angle. You say there that the league position is disappointing, but I do think a lot of that is to do with them struggling to adapt to midweek football. So they've played 9 games off the back of midweek football, whether that be a Carabao Cup game, a midweek Prem game, or a Champions League game. They've won only 2 of those 9 matches and lost 4, which kind of tells you that there might be a bit of a tiredness issue if they're playing back-to-back weeks, or maybe it's a preparation issue because you don't have as much time to prepare for a team. In between matches, we know that Unai Emery is one of the better tactics that might be affecting him as well. And then, if you look at that in games where they've had 3 midweek, they've won 5, drawn 1, lost 1, and that only defeat was against Arsenal in a game where Ollie Watkins missed actually David Raya pulled off a couple of worldly saves. So another game they could have probably avoided defeat. Basically, what I'm saying is don't mess Villa when they've had a free week, and especially don't mess with Villa when you're conceding over 2 expected goals per game for the last 11 matches. Just a little bit more context around Villa at home, because they've only won 4 times at home this season, which may seem really low, but only Arsenal have collected more expected points in home matches than Aston Villa. Only Arsenal have got a better home expected goals process than Aston Villa. So we're talking about a team at home that have been performing like a top two team, basically. And then if you couple that with the fact that City are a team completely devoid of confidence, devoid of ideas, that they play Matheus Nunes at left back, play him at right back, play him wherever, just to try something different. It's just not working. That they're not creating the chances for Erling Haaland, which is really staggering. I think he scored once in his last 8 or something like that in the league, which is remarkable. And defensively, they are so vulnerable. So, yeah, it's kind of pick your play. I've got 3 plays lined up. If you want something a little bit more security, Villa plus a quarter on the handicap, plus 101 is an unbelievable bet. I think it should be, probably a draw no bet. I might even make Villa, I don't know.
Slight favourite.
Favourites, yeah. The way in which City are going at the moment. Villa to score 2 or more at plus 147 if you want something that doesn't affect the result. It means you don't even need Villa to win. Or if you want a little bit of a bigger price, take Villa to win. Plus 229. I did my notes a couple of hours ago. This podcast probably going to go out maybe 3 hours after I've done my notes. That price is already moving. I had it at plus 235. It's moving to plus 229. So get on Villa now because they will go off shorter than what they are currently. So there's three avenues there if you want a bit of extra security, if you want to just get rid of the kind of result angle, or if you just want to go big and take the bigger price. I would advise a small, bet staking plan on all 3 because I'd be surprised if Man City turned up and got a result.
I've staked the first 2 that you mentioned, Villa on the handicap and the team total as well. Just over those 11 games for City, just 1 clean sheet over that span, and the rest they conceded 2 or more. So the data doesn't look good, but the end result even worse. No wins in their last 7 games away from home. How you lose at home the XG battle to United 0.64 to 2.05, and I know there was a pen included there, but still City were just a mile off it. October 20th was their last away win, and it came against Wolves. It was the last time they won
that was an
away game and expected goals as well, right at the end of the game.
Wasn't it?
But they were the better team in that game.
Don't take much against Wolves.
They have a negative expected goals differential. They're just unbackable right now. And you mentioned about Villa second in terms of expected goals. They've only scored 13, but their expected goals is north of 18. They just kind of haven't been finishing their chances. Both teams to score, by the way, has played in 6 of their last 7 meetings. So that's a good omen as well. So I agree with everything that you said. Let's just leave it there. Neither of us backing City. Pro Villa bets on the handicap and team total for me. And what was the third one, Jake, for you again?
Just a Villa straight up.
Straight up win.
Plus the bigger price, yeah.
Okay. Spurs Liverpool is the other really big game in the Premier League on the weekend. It plays Sunday. A little bit more challenging now. We're recording this early on Wednesday ahead of the Carabao Cup, the League Cup quarterfinal ties. Liverpool's at Southampton. Spurs play on Thursday, not Wednesday. A little bit more of a disadvantage there as they take on Manchester United. Spurs coming off that 5-0 win over Southampton, but center back, it's like Dragusin and who?
Archie Gray. Yeah.
Now Archie Gray, Ben Davies is out. These cluster injuries in the sport, they matter. It's mattered for City in terms of what their defending looks like, and same things for Spurs. I don't believe Udogie is 100% as well.
No, he's
but
Basuma's
coming back in the team. Liverpool coming off a 2-2 draw. Get in Fulham, by the way. Won me a nice Fulham bet on the handicap last weekend. Didn't help with Andy Robertson sent off, but I'll take him how I can get them. And Liverpool continue to run away, be the cream of the crop in the Premier League. I want to mention away in the Premier League, the recent games for Liverpool, they've been conceding goals. 3-3 at Newcastle. They won 3-2 at Southampton. They won 3-2 at Brighton in the EFL Cup, 2-2 at Arsenal, but they're still 5-2-0 away from home, and Chelsea are the only side that is better. No loss in 19 for Liverpool as well. In terms of the markets for this game, Spurs plus 334. Get Liverpool to win outright at minus 134, by the way. And the total is set at a whopping 3.75 for this. Just minus 104 for the over. What direction are you taking this, Jake?
Well, I mean, if you want to go big bet, just take Liverpool to win the game at minus 134. If you want something that's probably a smaller stake but a bigger price, then Liverpool to win and both teams to score at plus 160. I'm actually really surprised at how backable a price we're getting for Liverpool to win at Spurs. We've just seen Chelsea go there and win. Chelsea went off favourites. They weren't as short as this, but I don't think they're as good as this Liverpool team. And Spurs, they have a massive. I think they've got a massive problem in that club adjusting to how Postecoglou wants to play his football. In terms of, this is the second season in a row where we're getting to December and he's not got half his squad fit. He's not got half his starting 11 fit. Last year, literally, you could name 6-7 players that were injured around this time. It coincided with a massive dip in form, and I just think it's because of the high intensity style and just the relentless nature that the Spurs play with. It means that the players just don't get any rest. Whereas you watch Liverpool, and all right, granted, last week was slightly different because they were down to 10 men, but on a regular week, they get 2-0 up and just kind of take the foot off the gas, whereas Spurs, it's just relentless, press. And I just wonder if that's having something to do with this massive continuous injury crisis. Because as you said, defensively depleted. Van der Ven, Romero, Udogie, Davies, all expected to be out here. The goalkeeper as well, let's not forget about him, Vicario, who's expected to miss out. And ultimately, the amount of games that they're playing, they've not got that many good forward options as well. So you're seeing Kulusevski and Maddison play a lot of minutes. You're seeing Son having to play a lot of minutes, and I think ultimately you're going to have a tired Spurs team, especially over the festive period. They'll definitely be a team I'll be looking to fade. And yeah, Liverpool have got a rest advantage. They've got an easier game as well against Southampton in the Cup. I wouldn't be surprised to see Slot rest everybody, really, for that. I don't think he'll mind if they get knocked out of that competition. But yeah, even so, Spurs defensively at home are very gettable. 1.5 expected goals against per game. The 7th worst defensive record among home teams in the league. Liverpool, electric away from home. They've actually created over 2.4 expected goals per away game. Won 5 of the 7, as you mentioned. They're actually a bit more of a force attacking wise when they play away from home as opposed to when they're playing at home. But as we've said, they defensively they've conceded a lot of goals recently, and Spurs do deserve plenty of respect for their attacking output. So I'll be making Liverpool to win and both teams to score at plus 160.
Yeah, that's what I originally put down. I altered it a little bit. Liverpool to win and over a 2.5 goal total at plus 111. Take it a little bit less because I'm just protecting for like a 3-0 or 4-0 because I think that could be in the works. To Jake's point, if you want to back both teams to score at that number a little bit higher, both teams to score has played in their last 8 meetings. Spurs hasn't kept a clean sheet against Liverpool in their last 19 meetings. Wow. Last year it was a 2-1 Spurs win, by the way, but it was 4-2 at Anfield. It was 2-1, 4-3 the season before. There's goals regularly in this fixture as well. So I'll play it a little bit safer, but if I'm going to back Liverpool to win, Jake, over 2.5, I mean, it's worth paying a little bit more of baking in a little bit more of a risk to get a little bit more reward at plus 111 for me. So that will be my play. All right. What else in the Premier League this weekend?
I've actually got for me anyway, it's a weekend of backing the underdogs because I do think there's some teams that are priced very incorrectly. I think Brentford, Nottingham Forest is a really interesting betting heat. We've seen over the last couple of weeks. I mean, we were both on Brentford. They were plus 190 in that game. They are into plus 134 to beat a Nottingham Forest team that have the 3rd or 4th best away record in the division, are currently in the top 4 of the Premier League. And I, unfortunately, as much as I like backing Brentford at home, I have to oppose them at this price. I think it's too short, and I think it's showing too much disrespect to Nottingham Forest and what they've done. As we've mentioned, hammered home many, many times already on this podcast, Brentford's schedule has been just so weird in the sense that they've played the majority of the home games against rubbish teams and nearly all their away games against really good teams. So this is the first big-ish test. I know they played Bournemouth a couple of weeks ago, but I think Forest are a little bit more astute than Bournemouth, especially when travelling. They've got a tough game here. They play in midweek as well in the Carabao Cup away at Newcastle, so it's a long trip for them. We know that they like to prioritise that competition. The team selection, they made it all the way to the semis a couple of years ago. And yeah, ultimately, Forest are a very, very good team on the road. They've won 4, drawn 2, lost 2. Lost only at Arsenal, Man City. And that away record, actually, I had to look again, but it's actually better than it appears, because
It is.
4 of the current top 5 away from home in that run, as well as Brighton and Manchester United. So they've only faced 2 relegation-threatened teams. So to have that kind of record with that kind of schedule, I think is really impressive. Had a free midweek as well, as opposed to Brentford playing in the Carabao Cup. The underlying data is not fantastic away from home, but as I mentioned, the schedule has to be considered. And a Brentford team yet to really be tested at home, who concede nearly 1.5 expected goals against per game. I think it's an opportunity here to get to oppose Brentford. And I think for extra context, Brentford have played 6 of the bottom 7 across their home matches so far this season. So that home record is really boosted up by playing the absolute worst teams in the league. So yeah, I'm backing Forest on the handicap. Again, it's plus 1/4, so we'll get half payout if Forest avoid defeat. And yeah, it's a minus 112. And again, I wouldn't put anybody off backing Forest just to win straight up at plus 221. I think that's a nice price, because I do think that the bookies have shifted things a little bit too much in Brentford's favour.
Forest only laid that 1 egg away from home at City. Retrospect, bad loss now. But Brentford can score. Both teams' scores played in 8 of 9, over 2.5 and 6 of 7, 26 goals at home. That's the most at home in the Premier League. And in this fixture, both teams' scores played in the last 6 times that they faced one another. I like both teams to score in over 2.5 at plus 106. That's my play. I'll just back the goals because Brentford has been that good at home. Playing a cup game just got into my head. I still think that Brentford can win this game. That's why I just prefer to play the total here, but I understand your rationale. We're a little bit heavy, Jake, so let's go through our other plays in the Premier League. What else are you looking at?
Bournemouth on the handicap against Manchester United.
Me too.
Goal at plus 108. I think Bournemouth are one of the stories of the season, really, especially from a data standpoint, because they're third best in expected goals per game behind only Liverpool and Arsenal. Away from home, only Liverpool have got a better process. They've won the XG battle in 6 of 8 away games. One of those came at Anfield, where they lost. And overall, they've won the XG battle in 13 of 16 this season, which is really, really impressive. And United play Thursday. They weren't that great in the Manchester derby. And ultimately, I think Bournemouth are a really good team with extra rest and a better understanding of what the manager wants heading into this game. So I do give them an edge. I think they probably are a better team, to be fair, at this moment in time. So I'm taking Bournemouth with a handicap.
Yeah, Bournemouth had 29 shots and 9 on target in the 1-1 against West Ham. Look, their expected point total away from home is second best in the Premier League as well. And they bring so much pressure that it's resulted in good chances. 17.68 expected goals away is third best in the Premier League. And they won at Old Trafford 3-0 last year. So I like Bournemouth on the handicap. Same bet as you. I'm also attracted to over the team total for Bournemouth in this one at 1.5 at plus 177. Yeah. I believe you have one more play. I mean, we've had 4 for 4 in terms of games that we like, and we both have 5 plays in the Premier League. Well, 5 games that we have plays in the Premier League. What's the 5th and final one? It's back-to-back weeks, Jake.
Leicester and Wolves.
5 for 5, man. 5 for 5.
I think the goal line's a bit low, to be honest.
Yeah.
2.7 over 2.75 at minus 113 is going to be the bet. And the main reason I like this, well, there's 2 actually. One is because Leicester are involved, and they are nuts at the moment. They can't defend for toffee. But the other is the fact that this really does feel like must win for Wolves. And I'll put a bit of context here, because they play Leicester, a team that are down there. It's a big 6-pointer. They're 5 points behind Leicester. Lose this game and relegation looks really, really seriously on. But after this match, get this is their fixture list. Man United, Spurs, Forest. Then they've got an FA Cup break. Newcastle, Chelsea, Arsenal, Villa, Liverpool, Bournemouth. Are they going to win any of those games? At this moment in time, I would suggest probably not. The only caveat is that they will have a new manager in the dugout. Makes things a little bit more unpredictable. But as I said, Leicester are in a similar boat where they'll see this as very winnable. Ruud van Nistelrooy's games have been nuts so far this since he took over. Leicester are averaging or conceding an average of nearly 25 shots per game in his games in charge and nearly 3 expected goals per game. So they literally are the worst defensive team in the league right now. And Wolves, in a must-win game, they have to go for this no matter who's in charge.
It wasn't much better before Van Nistelrooy, but they've gone over Leicester have gone over in their last 6 games. And Ndidi is injured. Sumare is suspended. Winks is touch and go. They have no protection for their back line as well. Yeah, well, exactly. Let's skip that point right there. Eight Nouri suspended for Wolves as well. 20 goals conceded in 8 away.
As well.
Yeah, I mean, but still over. If both teams score over 2.5, plays at around -103. If you like either one of those, but the total's fine. So 5 for 5 in terms of games that we like in the Premier League this weekend. For all the markets, go to Pinnacle, bet smart, bet Pinnacle. All right, let's go to La Liga. Barcelona and Atlético Madrid. What a fixture this is. Atleti coming in with on a streak of 11 wins in a row. And Barcelona been on a little bit of a wobble. Lost to Leganés at home last week, 1-0. Although they dominated the XG battle. No clean sheet in La Liga in 7 since their 4-0 victory over Real Madrid for Barcelona. What do you make of this game as well? I kind of like the underdog here. I'm looking at the team total. I'm not sure what may be attracting you, Jake.
Yeah, just for listeners who aren't aware, Barcelona are top of the league, but they are top only on goal difference, and they have played a game more than both Atlético and Real Madrid. So we've got a real title race on in La Liga. But yeah, it's been a weird kind of month for Barcelona because there's been some really good performances, but some really, really poor results. I just looked at this game and I thought it's Atlético Madrid in a big game. What will Diego Simeone do? He's going to play defensive. Under 3 goals at -109 is the bet for me. And that has already moved since I did my notes earlier from -103. Just in general, away from home this season, Atlético Madrid have been really stingy. Just 2.1 goals per away game their matches have seen. They've only gone over 2.5 goals in 2 of 6 away matches. The average in expected goal-wise, 1.2 expected goals for and 1.1 expected goals against per game. So they are creating not a lot away from home and conceding very little. Meanwhile, Barcelona at home, they've conceded quite a few goals, but defensively, just 0.7 expected goals against per game. So you've got 2 good defenses going head-to-head in a big kind of 6-pointer-ish game at the top of the table. I think it's going to be a cagey one.
Okay. Atletico Madrid haven't scored a goal against Barcelona in their last 4 games. That's why it's going to change and it's going to be different. And Barcelona can't defend. They're 14th in expected goals against in La Liga. Like, this is the issue, that Simeone can play defensive or try to play defensive. It doesn't matter against Barcelona. They play such a high line. The midfield doesn't keep the ball. I think that this suits Atletico Madrid. I'm just going to go with the team total here for Atleti to score over 1.5 goals, so to score 2 goals at +160. Atletico Madrid have won 6 games away in a row in all competitions. And over their last 11 games overall, they scored 2 or more goals in 9 of them. Even last week, like, it was burned on the Getafe game. They won 1-0. They need to score a couple for me to win. Their XG was just about 2 in that game. Like, they're creating chances, so I think it's a little bit different. So I'll go with the Atleti team total. Well, we're running heavy. I mean, I have 5 plays in La Liga this weekend. I just want Getafe Mallorca, by the way, under 1.5 goals. That's it. And if you want the over, it's available at +105 at least in terms of my notes. I'm not sure if you have an update here. Like, Getafe, yes, they are an under team, but Mallorca hasn't been. Like, over their recent games. Canadian Kyle Aaron scored 2 in a 2-1 victory over Verona last week. Mallorca have provided 2 or more goals in their last 5 games. Like, their data is actually well north of the 1.5 goal total set for this game. I just think that that's madness. 1.5 goals, Jake? Like, this is like an auto over bet for me.
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you? But yeah,
I would.
Getafe are literally the most incredibly stingy team at home. Their games have seen 1.3 at home, which is just incredibly low. I mean, those poor fans that turn up and just watch Getafe players kick the shit out of the opposition but never score a goal. They've scored 8 times in 9 games, 4 goals conceded. Again, it's a low total. It probably should be closer to maybe 2, but
of course it should. Like, it's like Mallorca have the 8th best away expected goals in La Liga. I did way too much research on this game. I'm taking the over. I'm also taking the over in Osasuna Athletic Club. Again, 2.25 at +111. Athletic Club is a team that plays to the over, and Osasuna has as well. I think you're getting some value there. And so a couple outright plays. Las Palmas at home to Espanyol. Interestingly, the worst expected point total at home versus the worst expected point total away from home. So I'll take the home side. And Las Palmas at minus 121. And Villarreal is going to get it straight game against Ligan because Villarreal have 3 losses in a row, but they played good teams over that span. Ligan, after beating Barcelona, at plus 103 plus money, back the better side in Villarreal in that one. We should go to the Bundesliga next because it's Bayern Munich Leipzig this weekend. Any thoughts on that fixture?
Yeah, I'm going under again in the big game. It's the line's at 3.5. It's at minus 105, and you might think I'm daft because Bayern are playing, but Bayern have only gone over 3.5 in 7 of 14 matches, so half the games, and Leipzig have gone over 3.5 in just 5 of 14. So it's not a line that these two have covered very regularly. At home, it gets even worse for Bayern because they've gone over to 3.5 in just 2 of their 6 matches. Leipzig away have gone over it in 2 of 7, averaging just 2.9 goals per game. And I think it's another one of those games that could turn into quite a tight, cagey one because just like in La Liga, it looks as though we could be on for a really good title race in the Bundesliga. Bayern lost last week to Mainz. They're only 4 points above Leverkusen, and they're only 6 points above Leipzig. So if Leipzig get the win here, all of a sudden Leipzig and Leverkusen beat Freiburg. All of a sudden you've got 3 teams at least within 3 points of each other. So I think it could be in for a bit of a cagey game as well, where quite a few of these games have gone under. If you remember, we had the Klassiker was a 1-1. Bayern versus Leverkusen was a 1-1. I wouldn't be surprised to see a similar kind of result here.
Yeah, I'm going to take Leipzig on the handicap at 1.5 at plus 106. Very similar to the Fulham-Liverpool play last week in my eyes. Bayern Munich lost the XG battle against Mainz in that 2-1 victory. Harry Kane and Alphonso Davies are back in training, but you don't know if they're going to be fit enough to go, especially with a little bit of a breakup coming, whether they'll be risked at this point. Bayern Munich's playing their third string goalkeeper, Daniel Peretz. He's conceded twice to both Heidenheim and Mainz and 1 to Shakhtar Donetsk. Not great. And Leipzig coming off an impressive win over a good Eintracht Frankfurt side. Sesko and Openda, I think, can do some damage up top, and they've done well head-to-head in recent seasons. 2-1 and 2-2 last year. Leipzig won in the Super Cup 3-0 in 2013, and Leipzig beat Bayern Munich again 3-1 the season before and drew 1-1 that season. So the Leipzig on the handicap play has cashed the last 5 meetings that these two sides have played. So I'm happy with that at a plus number. Really quickly, I like the over in Eintracht Frankfurt Mainz. I think there's some real value there. And Leverkusen plus over 2.5 goals at plus 101 playing at home against Freiburg, a team that Freiburg side that's really good at home, but not very good at all away from home against the Leverkusen side that have won now 7 games in a row. That early season wobble, Jake, it's in the rearview mirror. This looks like the Leverkusen side from last season that was so incredibly dominant. Anything else in the Bundesliga, or shall we quickly go to Serie A?
Straight to Italy.
Let's go. What do you have?
Well, my favourite bet is, and the only bet actually, is on the Friday night game, Verona versus Milan, because Verona are the goal kings in Italy. I mean, forget about Atalanta, at Verona now. Their matches have averaged a league high 3.8 goals per game. They've gone over 2.5 goals in 13 of 16. And we're getting a line here against Milan of 2.75. So the over just makes so much sense at minus 105. They've gone over 2.5 goals, which would see us get a half payout at the very least. In all 8 home matches, they've got home games have averaged 4 goals per game. And then the cherry on top is that Milan have gone over 2.5 goals in 6 of their 7 away games, with their away matches averaging 3.3 goals per game. So 2 teams, when playing home and away, very good for goals. Verona are just a bit nuts, really. I need to do a bit more digging into why they're nuts, but I love it. 3.
All right, I have 3 win-to-nil bets in the Serie A.
Let me guess.
But one
is Napoli.
It is, and it never cashes, but they play at Genoa, and at plus 170, I mean, Genoa, 0.2 XG against Milan last week, 0.33 against Torino. They're 0-6-3 at home, and they can't score. And Napoli, I mean, they're the 1-0 kings. Like, this should be a 1-0 in a bag. I probably won't win this bet again. That's why it's not going to make my best 3 of the week. But Inter against Como will on Monday at plus 103. Inter 3-1-0 wins in their last 5 games at home, including against Arsenal and Leipzig. Cut off that 6-0 win against Lazio. I mean, that's a huge result away from home. And it was 10 games ago they conceded 4 against Juventus. They don't concede goals anymore. They haven't given up more than a goal over that span and just 3 goals overall in their last 9 games. So that's one of my favorite bets of the week. Also, I'm going Atalanta to win to nil.
I thought you might do.
Against Empoli. We're doing the reverse here because Empoli just dreadful. They've been shut out 4 times in the last 10 games. And they have the worst expected goals in Serie A. So...
I was going to say,
and Atalanta just a 5.2 expected goals against at home. They've been a good home side defensively. So
Empoli scored. They've scored 14 times in 16 games, but 4 of those came against Verona.
Exactly, which was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
That's
ago.
it.
So they just don't score goals. Yeah.
And you made the case eloquently so to back Verona in the goals. So
yeah, it was a nice way to end.
Thank you. All right, your top 3 bets of the week are we at least one of them has to be a pro Villa play here. Basically,
yeah, I think it will be. My
Yes.
number 1 is over 2.75 goals in Verona Milan, minus 105. My number 2 is going to be Villa on the handicap at plus 102. And my number 3 is going to be, I'll do a bigger price. I'll go for Liverpool to win and both teams to score at plus 160.
Okay. Number 3, let's back Leverkusen, Freiburg. Leverkusen to win over 2.5 goals in that game. Combine it for a plus 101. Inter to win to 0 against Como at plus 103. And Villa in the handicap. Let's bring that in at number 1 against Manchester City at a quarter of a goal. All right, that's the podcast for this week. Please smash that like button. Please subscribe to the fine content that our colleagues at Pinnacle provide on a day-to-day basis. We'll be back through the holiday season. A Boxing Day preview, I should say, coming up next week as well. Maybe even we'll wear festive sweaters. I don't know. You're going to have to tune in to find out at that time. Sorry, Jake. I'm dragging you along with me right through the mud. So we're in this together, pal. On behalf of Jake, I'm Wheels, and this has been episode 18 of Pinnacle FC.